When our grandchildren come to our house, Camille, the youngest, uses this high chair to eat. During the Christmas season, when they are not here, we have Frosty and the Grinch keeping her seat warm. I don't know why, but Camille is scared to death of the Grinch. Whenever we push the button, she screams. She runs for her mother. She's scared of the Grinch. Well, today we're going to talk about the Grinch of Revelation. In our New Testament challenge, we find ourselves in Revelation 13, and that chapter is all about the Antichrist, and he's a whole lot worse than a Grinch. This chapter actually refers to him as the beast. We get the word Antichrist out of 1 John. Jesus calls him the abomination of desolation, so he has different names, but when you read the beast, that's the Antichrist. When you read the word dragon in this passage, that is the devil. Let me give you an outline of the passage. I'm going to give you 5 words, each which begin with the letter W. First, we have the welcome of the Antichrist, and we see that in the first few verses. The Antichrist, the beast, is welcomed onto the planet. He probably won't have a scary looking face. He'll probably be somewhat appealing. He might be a man in a business suit. Then we have the wound of the Antichrist. That's your second word. You see this in verse 3. It says he had a fatal wound, but then was healed. And because of this healing, the people are in amazement and they worship the dragon. Remember, that's the devil. They also worship the Antichrist because he was healed of this fatal wound. Third word, W word, is the word war. The Antichrist wages war against the church, and we see this down in verse 7. The Antichrist hates Jesus, but he hates anyone who loves Jesus. And you might be thinking, how could he wage war against Christians because the rapture took us all to heaven? Well, there will be people who come to know Christ during the tribulation time, and the devil, the Antichrist, will wage war against these people. In fact, the scripture even says in verse 15 that if they refuse to worship the Antichrist, they will be killed. They may have worshiped voluntarily at first, but in the end, they will be coerced. And if they don't worship, they'll be killed. In verse 11, we're introduced to a second beast. He's called the false prophet, and he forces people to worship the Antichrist. This false prophet could do some miraculous things. He could call fire down from heaven. He created an image that could breathe, had life. People had to worship the image or be killed. The devil kind of has his own unholy trinity. The dragon, Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. And then you may have heard of this number 666. You see it at the very end of the chapter. It says that if people don't take a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, they cannot buy or sell. And when John wrote this, he probably had no way of knowing how technology would progress. But on your phone, do you have something called Apple Pay? When we go through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru, we just hold up our phone and it pays for our meal. At Starbucks, we do the same thing. We have our phone. We have an account, and they just take it off of our phone. I'm going to keep going. The dogs are barking because we ordered a pizza. It's possible with technology today to have a cashless society where you have to have a mark on your hand, forehead or on your hand. Maybe it's a microchip that's implanted, and you have that or you die. It's very hard to focus, but I'm going to try to finish even as the dogs bark. One final W. The whipping. The welcome, the wound, the war, worship, the war, and finally the whipping. I want you to read ahead. Look in chapter 19, and you will see that the devil, the Antichrist, the false prophet, the beast will be thrown into the lake of fire. I've read the end of the book, and you're going to, in a few days, And I can summarize it by saying, we win. If you're a child of God, we win, the devil loses, and the story of Christmas is this. Oh! Linus, quoting Luke chapter 2. I know it's Christmas week and I'm talking about the Antichrist, so I just had to animate this ornament with Linus doing the Christmas story.